Achusi Kanku from Esports Africa News, and as usual, we are engaging. We are talking to loads of people on the continent and off the continent, and basically, we are trying to bring the community together in such videos and engagement. Today, I've got a special person in front of me, and we're going to try and learn. And please follow us through this because we are learning how people or organizations like his organization have grown the community from small numbers to large numbers, and now effectively they're one of the top tournaments in Nigeria, if not for Africa. So let's straight away speak to this gentleman. So please introduce yourself fully. Don't hold back, as I keep saying to everyone, because Africa is like, oh, I'm just that, and then that's it. But yeah, before you go ahead, as always, when I'm talking to my brothers in Nigeria, I like to introduce myself differently. So my name is Chinedu Kanu.
Yeah, I think Chinedu suits you perfectly. One of these days, I'll pick up a Ghanaian name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
so
nice.
Chinedu Kanu here today.
Okay. Hello everyone. So I'm Senez. I live in Lagos, Nigeria. I work with Garena as a KOL and community specialist for FREEFIRE in the Sub-Saharan Africa. So Sub-Saharan Africa basically covers countries that exclude North Africa because they are part of the MENA servers. So yeah, good to be here. Happy to share more knowledge about the community, about projects that we've undergone with FREEFIRE and developing not just the Nigerian community, but also, as I said, Sub-Saharan African community that includes countries like Mozambique, South Africa, Kenya, like so many countries to cover.
Now that's interesting. And for me, where we're going to dwell on is this FREEFIRE community and how we've built the community from, I would say, small numbers to where we are now. Because obviously, as the media, we see a lot of traction on events, posters happening across the continent, and Nigeria as a country has seen loads of tournaments. That's one. And FREEFIRE, I'd say in the last 6 to 12 months, has been consistently appearing on our feed. So tell us about the community first in Nigeria, FREEFIRE community. How is that thriving?
Yeah. So the FREEFIRE community in Nigeria is a very huge community. Probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, actually, I think it's the biggest in Nigeria, right? And even outside of Nigeria, if you check the stats, FREEFIRE has been the highest downloads for, I think, about 4 years in the span of maybe 5-6 years when it really came into the market. So it's a game that has been existing, a battle royale game that has been existing in Africa and in Nigeria for a while. So the main positive or the main pros to FREEFIRE compared to other FPS titles is that the developers have found a way to make it easily accessible, to various devices. So I'm trying to remember the word or the term to use, but it's optimized. It's very optimized for low-end devices. So what that then means is that you have a lot of players who are of the lower age demographic able to access this game, right? And the game is friendly, it's not too toxic for a certain age group. So there are some game titles where, if you are below the age of 18, 16, you're unable to play this game, but that's not the case with FREEFIRE. So it's easily accessible to everyone. So that's what created that large number in terms of community base. And, they enjoy this game even when kids are on their break, holidays, university students, and even casual, working adults, they still enjoy playing this game.
Now, I believe that because Africa is mobile for once, so I know mobile games are thriving in Africa. I had this conversation with someone. I said, I project that in 2027 going forward, we will see a decline in the purchase of Xbox PS because we are seeing increased tournaments in mobile games, PUBG Mobile, FREEFIRE, Call of Duty Mobile, EAFC, all these top gamers. So as much as the mobile games are giving Africans legitimate access, and this is where I learned from PUBG as well, which I think is the same for FREEFIRE, is the legitimate access for Africans to easily access the game, register in their own names, purchase things in their own names, and and engage with the game as Africans rather than being like PS and Xbox. You've got to register through Europe, Asia, America,
Yeah.
or something, So that is really helping the African region as well. So how does this community thing work? Because I've learned how Tribe works with Carry First. How does the Free Fire community work? Is it per, like say Nigeria, is it per state, or are these cutting across states? And in Africa, do you engage between nations? How's the community engage?
So the community I'm in charge of, which is the Sub-Saharan Africa, it's very large. Currently, I think we have close to, if not 40K or 50K recognized members, right? So don't get me wrong, the database is way larger than that, but recognized
Yeah,
members based on like where we have records of on our official channels, like the
names. Yeah.
Discord, the WhatsApp groups. So we have admins and we have community admins and helpers and people that help, with the daily interactions on these groups. So
Mm.
it cuts across not just Nigeria, but mainly Nigeria is the main market because Nigeria has the
Mm.
most numbers. So,
Or
for example,
more,
like a Nigerian
or
group,
more.
like a Nigerian group will require, five several platforms for interaction compared to, let's say, an emerging region like Kenya for Free Fire.
Or
It's still
Ghana.
growing. It's still growing there. We are Ghana too. It's still growing there, but Ghana
Yeah.
has been doing good with numbers recently. So
All
you
right.
have Ethiopia, Mozambique, South Africa, so many countries, and that was one of the reasons why this year Free Fire decided to open the doors to the Sub-Saharan African region so that they can have more exposure and more involvement in the esports side of things. So I don't know if you've noticed, there was the Free Fire World Series that happened recently. So it's happening in two splits. There was the was it the winter split? Yeah, there was the winter split or spring rather, where a South African team emerged as champions and they got the tickets to go to the Esports World Cup. Right, that's something that has not been done
That is the
before.
team you're following. Okay. So we are following that team because
Yeah,
they're going to the Esports World Cup. Right. Okay. That's great. I'm now picking it up together. So obviously we are picking the news from other handles. So I didn't
yeah.
follow you through to that, but that's important. That's great.
Yeah, so things like this, so initiatives like this, as what has mainly like made the community more interested in the projects Free Fire has for them, and the Garena officials have been visiting countries. They visited Nigeria, I think, a year ago before
Mm.
having the first official tournament, land tournament in Nigeria, which was the
Mm.
Free Fire Clash Cup, and
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
the
yeah.
prize pool was it 10 million naira, and yeah, the audience there was really fantastic, and we had a partner with 1080 that helps organize most of our events both offline and online. So yeah, that was sort of like the beginning of more things to come, and there are a lot of projects in the pipeline to come this year, but which I cannot reveal yet. But so many
I
things
appreciate that.
that keeps the community engaged and letting them know Garena recognizes them and realizes that okay, there are certain things that needs to be done to enable the community grow.
Right. I'm an ordinary gamer, right? Not right into this mobile esports. Can you talk me through? Say I'm from Ghana, Kenya, or let's use Ghana because that's where I'm familiar with. How do I
Yeah.
get through into being a pro like yourselves, who then can participate in the international tournament? Can you talk us through how ordinary gamers can form teams, form groups, be part of a community, and then grow? Because at the end of the day, we want to champion Free Fire as a channel of pro athletes,
Yeah.
so people can know that they're not just playing the game for fun, but they are able to make a life, a profession out of that. Can you just give us a brief scenario? You can use Nigeria if that's more comfortable as well.
Okay, no, Ghana is fine. Ghana is fine. So the key thing here is awareness, right? Because as a casual gamer, I might, download this game, like it, play it a lot, but
Mm,
if there isn't a community of friends, of mutuals, right, for me to
mm,
interact with daily, I might just be enjoying the game alone and maybe
mm,
eventually get tired of it or, still enjoy it, but I'm playing alone. I don't even know, many of those casual gamers don't even know that there is something called an esports scene till
mm,
probably when they go on social media and they see maybe adverts or posts, and they're like, oh, there's
Or
actually
they
something.
get it from Esports
Uh,
Africa News.
yeah, from Esports Africa News,
Yeah.
which fantastic job that you guys do. I've, been to several events, especially here in Nigeria, where I see representatives, recording and creating content, interviewing players, and it's really nice. So that aside, what we intentionally did was to make sure we created that awareness ourselves, right? So starting from the IP, that's the game. So in game, we made sure there's a column where people are regularly updated on what's happening, and also there are links for them to click to join many of these community groups. So actually, there's a link to join the SSA Discord server. So once they join that Discord server, they can decide to join like different channels that have been created based on the country, right? So in case there's a language barrier, I can always join a channel created for my country, interact with my fellow countrymen, and get to play together. So from there, that's how you get more informed. From the Discord, you can join the WhatsApp groups. There's a country that mainly uses Telegram, Ethiopia. There are about
Yeah, right.
12,000 of them on
Wow.
that Telegram group, which is crazy. Probably the highest numbers in a single group on any of the platforms that we have. So that's the way it goes, right? So we are intentional about creating that awareness. So when we have events like the esports event, we try to amplify it as much as we can, right? Like recording, creating content, short clips, putting it on the SSA server on our Instagram and TikTok channels, and even Facebook. So people share, people post, and this awareness gets further into the community. So then the casual gamers can pick on this and realize, oh, there's something big. Imagine you're seeing a clip of a Paradox team that clutched last minute, last map to secure the ticket to go to France for the Esports World Cup. Come on, as a casual gamer, you definitely be interested.
You know, there's a journey for you there.
My talents are, are valid, so I need to like compete, find a team.
Yeah.
Where can I know more about this tournament that's happening? So yeah, so the key thing is awareness, and that's something that we prioritize to make sure we provide for the community.
Yeah, I think we can do better by working more with Esports Africa News, because obviously we reach out to all the 54 countries and we've got representative in every country. So Ethiopia to South Africa, Namibia. So yeah, I think from here we should be doing a bit more with yourselves. I mean, direct links. You've got my WhatsApp, direct links, so that we can we can do more and get awareness going. I think one of the other things is that there are other roles. As we were talking, it was coming through, like this community leadership, the tournament organizing, casting, hosting, and that's one personally I do like the hosting and the casting bit, which I've been talking to communities about that. How do people get involved in these roles? Because they are relevant industry roles that people can enjoy and participate in.
Yeah, you have a good point. So not everyone is as skilled as me being a gamer. I'm joking.
But
not everyone is as skilled as the professional players that you see, making clutch plays, and because they have dedicated hours into crafting their style and crafting their gameplay and all that, right? So if I, as a fan, I enjoy the game, right? There are other avenues for me to get involved with the community. Like we have community admins that aren't so skilled or good playing the game, right? But they have good administrative knowledge. They have good soft skills to work on an Excel sheet, to spread information, to galvanize the community. They have good leadership qualities that can be put into use. So we essentially have a program, that admits people like that into being community helpers or community admins. Then they obviously get rewarded for the effort and the time they put into the community. So most times it can be in-game rewards, or basically creating an avenue or opportunities for them to get a bit closer to the Garena team. For some might want to develop further in their professional career. Like taking for example now, I used to be an esports team manager. I think that's where we first met. I can remember when we were making videos on the African Union Day where I dressed in this dashiki and all that with a cap. So that was sort of like the beginning of my own journey, right? Being involved in gaming as well. I used to be a med lab scientist. I used to work in the lab. Then while I was doing all that, I was working 247 in a medical laboratory facility. So, but being involved in the community one way or the other, right? You are gaining that traction and that recognition, and you are able to put yourself out there. So one thing is also putting yourself out there. Like, I do create content whenever I go to any of those events, gaming events. I create content, do voiceover. People are like, oh, I like your content. Oh, so they realize that other side of you, right? In as much as there's one side of you being maybe a professional in whatever you do outside of gaming, right? But posting yourself out there in gaming events and the work you do for gaming also brings that traction and recognition. And before I knew it, there was the opportunity to join Carry First as the Call of Duty mobile community manager. I did that, so started gaining, more knowledge and more insights and recognition on what to do before eventually transitioning to Garena. So, so just to divert back to your question, so there are already avenues being provided, right? So it's up to the individuals to take advantage of it. So as I said, we have the ones for the community admins and the likes, and we also have like a community, KOL program for content creators. So there are lots of content creators that create.
Where can they find the links? Where can they find the links or interaction to that?
Yeah, so everything still starts from the Discord server, but
Discord server, right?
Along the line, in the future there'll probably be a landing page for the SSA community where you can get everything you want, right? But for now, from in-game, there's a link to the Discord server. From Discord server, you can see everything you want to see. Open a ticket, reach out to the admins, interact with them. If you have a tournament you want to host, maybe a small community tournament, you can reach out to them and they can assist you in that regard. So that awareness is already out there and the avenues are already placed. It's up to people to take advantage of these things.
Right. I think we need to promote it more. Sometimes it's, again, awareness. Once they know about it, they can make that decision. And the more we spread opportunities, the more we can talk about this, which is really important. So let's talk about Africa then. Free Fire in Africa. We've got great communities from all the other countries. How do we interact and how do we develop ourselves in that we're going to have solid run of African champions in the next few months, especially Esports World Cup, Esports Nations Cup, Free Fire World Championships, African Championship. We need a run of all that. How are we going to develop ourselves? Are we just playing for fun?
No, they're definitely not playing for fun. So most of these tournaments come with huge cash prizes, right? So the Free Fire World Series was sort of like the inception of this, bringing different countries together to participate in one tournament and giving them the exposure to go compete internationally with other countries, right? So the good thing about this is that in the past, Free Fire used to have one slot at Esports World Cup, then at Free Fire World Series, and that was a combination with the Northern African countries. But now we're able to separate that because, yes, we do agree that the North Africa countries are way ahead. They're a bit closer to Europe and Middle East, and they are way ahead in terms of development, and it would be unfair to keep putting the Sub-Saharan African countries in the same bracket with them, right? So we had to make that marginalization first to realize SSA should stand on its own. So that's why Sub-Saharan Africa gets their own slot to compete at the Esports World Cup. That's for the Free Fire Spring tournament. Now the second split will be happening in the summer. Now that's the one where the winner gets to go to the Free Fire World Series, probably happening around November or December. Date's not confirmed yet, but usually
where is that? Where is the location? I don't have that one on my diary yet. Free Fire World Series. Where is that?
So it's gonna be this year. It's gonna be in Thailand. Yeah.
All right.
Be in Thailand. I think Bangkok. Not sure yet.
Yeah. I've been to Bangkok. Okay, Free Fire World Series. Free Fire World Series. Yeah.
So even if you look at last year it's held in Singapore, right? It's
November, December. Okay.
It broke the Guinness Book record for most live attendees at an esports tournament. I think probably close to 60-something thousand. I'm not sure. That's literally crazy. A larger crowd than Stamford Bridge when Chelsea plays, right?
I beg you, Arsenal, don't be bringing Chelsea to this far.
So imagine that type of crowd for an esports
tournament.
No,
it's crazy.
Yeah. So now the African teams get to experience that because many of them have never even traveled outside of their country,
Mm,
right? But
mm.
with tournaments like this, initiatives like this, it builds their interest and they're able to travel and go meet their counterparts in the international stage. So yeah, so the esports is really key to the plans that we've had to further develop the region. So yeah, more good things to come, and yeah, and that's what keeps the community very much involved and interested.
That's interesting. I mean, what other competitions around for Free Fire? So if someone as a casual gamer I've started, right? I know I can win in my country. So you've got the country championships, or have you got other tournaments, smaller tournaments that helps grow us?
Yeah.
Because so far I've heard about the African championships, I've heard about the World Championship, and Esports World Cup, Esports Nations Cup. But a bit lower down the tier, are there competitions that help, you know, get more visibility?
Yeah, so yeah, you're very much right on that. So most of the tournaments I've mentioned so far for like, the pro players, the highly
Yeah.
skilled players, right? So for casual players, there are organizations that approach us. So in as much as they run their tournaments independently, right?
Mm.
But they reach out to us for whatever support that can be provided in terms of maybe in-game rewards or visibility, not necessarily cash support, right?
Mm.
That might be difficult to process. But when it comes to in-game rewards or visibility or recognition, or even providing the PC clients for them to have good broadcast, the PC client is
Mm.
different from when you're spectating in the lobby, right? It's a different feel and it brings, more life to the tournament. So we are always ready to provide that. So that's why I said the Discord is the number one platform where people can get this
Mm.
information, right? And they reach out to the admins, the form is provided, the link is provided, and they just apply. And so we've had partners like 1080, who will be having their Deca Cup happening next week, right? For Free
Mm.
Fire, I'll be there also. So those are some of the
Is it
grassroots
next week?
tournaments.
Deca
Yeah, it's
Deca
next week
Cup.
on the 27th of June.
Okay, okay. 27th June. We need to organize that. We'll talk behind the scenes for that. So let's do
Yeah.
that.
So some of those grassroots tournaments, and there are also like community tournaments where our admins basically just engage players and maybe
Mm.
they give them rewards like reward codes, and we provide that to the admins. So admins and content creators also. So basically just to get the community going. Then from there, some of these pro teams discover some hidden talents, right? You discover, oh, there's this casual player, probably doesn't have the discipline yet of a pro player, but we can work with this guy. So
Yeah.
they reach out to them and try to bring in new players to their teams. Or a group of friends just form a team and they keep growing, they keep participating in some of these small tournaments till they get to the bigger stage. So yeah, there are lots of tournaments and tournament organizers that run Free Fire. We are happy to support them in whichever way we can.
So I think what we'll say is, so get onto the app, Free Fire, the game. Get onto the
Yeah,
Discord because you get the Discord link from there. Join your community and engage with those communities. You can join more than one community, I take it, and then
yep,
engage
you
with
can.
those communities. Do you have an avenue for diasporan Africans to join, or do they have to? Yeah, so diasporan Africans can join and then join the community, the countries that they want to engage in. Because what I see is there are loads of Africans in the diaspora who are quite good. In fairness, they're quite
Mm.
good in gaming, but they're not engaging a lot with the African continent or these type of competitions. And this is an opportunity for them to engage as well. So I will look at trying to drive that attention where we can have more diasporan Africans engaging in such African games. That's interesting. Now, communities and the future for Free Fire in Africa. Are we going to have a Free Fire African Championship? And I don't want to jinx it by saying Global Championship hosted in Africa. But let's start small. Are we going to have a
Yeah.
regional tournament happening in Africa? Because I'll be selfish and say I want it to happen in Ghana because next year Ghana celebrates their 70th anniversary. So this time around, I've
Hey,
changed to
who
Ghana.
knows? Who knows? It might
Yeah,
happen. Who knows?
yeah.
But just to answer your question plainly and directly, yes, it's gonna happen, right? But it's a case of still testing the waters and trying to get more information about these several regions. So as I highlighted, for example, with Nigeria, the Free Fire Cup Clash was the first official Garena tournament held
Mm,
in Nigeria, mainly SSA,
mm,
right? The North African countries like
mhm,
Morocco, they've been having some tournaments like Battle of Morocco, which is a land tournament that players come together. So
mhm.
it's a case of, first of all, establishing how we can have more official land physical events and tournaments in many of these regions, right? Then
Yeah.
who knows, maybe when we have partners and reliable stakeholders, because it's difficult right now when it comes to production, with internet, making sure everything goes well. There's a lot that needs to be factored in to make sure a tournament
Logistically, yeah.
like that runs smoothly, the logistics and all. So the goal for now is to still visit some of these countries, interact with partners, understand how they operate and the values they can offer to us before we ultimately decide, oh yes, we want to have a regional event where we can bring in teams from Ethiopia, Nigeria, Kenya together to one physical space. It's definitely going to happen, but it's going to take some time to gain learnings and to
Yeah.
make sure we already have established physical land events in these countries before bringing them together.
No, that's amazing. That is amazing. I'm really excited about this because we have followed the journey. We continue to follow the journey. Obviously, Esports Africa News is the media to work with, and we've been working with you guys directly and indirectly over the
Yeah.
past couple of years, at least that I can remember. So I'm going to be talking to you behind the scenes about next week's event and all the other opportunities that you have, because we need to try and drive this concept of um, professionalism in the community. We want to give people a clear map. What people want to see is, if I start here, I can get there. The
Yeah.
opportunities with Free Fire. So behind the scenes, we try and develop some sort of narrative. You can help us do that. Draw the narrative. Here are the opportunities in Free Fire in Africa.